Hoi hoi hoi! It's louisity again, and for this rereading vlog, we are going to reread Torment by Lauren K. Hoorah! So I'm continuing my reread of the Fallen series now. During the first time that I read the Fallen series, I enjoyed it, and I said that this is one of my beloved series. It's one of the book series that I love. And upon rereading Fallen, I didn't dislike it, though it was just like okay for me. So maybe my reading tastes really have changed. And I remember this one. This is not exactly one of my beloved books in the series. I found it a little bit bare, at least as far as I remember my reading experience of this one, because this takes span in like a short period of time, but who knows what I'll feel during my rereading experience if things will change. So let us begin rereading this one to find out, and I'll catch you folks later. Whoa! So here's a rereading update of Torment by Lauren Kate, and I've read like around 100 pages in Torment by Lauren Kate. Now, so far, we get to see Luz being sent to Shoreline by Daniel to sort of like protect her, because Daniel's going to be dealing with his angel wars, and in Shoreline, it is believed that Luz will learn, more about like, the angels, and like basically, I think from how I'm understanding, like she might learn some skills that will be important for her. She also gets to meet the Nefts and gets to meet her roommates, her classmates, and all that. And honestly, upon rereading the first 100 pages, it makes me think about like how I felt or what I thought about this during the first time that I read this. And after rereading the first 100 pages, I realized that the buildup is really like slow. And it's kind of like a tricky thing to do because the time spans are really short, and it was a bit confusing because I felt like there were like more days. I felt like she was like doing this within a couple of days, but like I think that maybe this was set in a day, so that's why it is kind of like evident why it may come across as slow. But it's really a tricky thing, for something, impacting, like a narrative that is impacting to be done, like that is set in a day. And it made me think about like my reading tastes. Honestly, this one is like probably my least favorite during the first time I read this, and like second book syndrome and all that stuff, maybe it might play into this one. And also, I was just contemplating overall that maybe my reading tastes have changed, because as I've mentioned in my previous clips and even in some of my previous videos, the series overall is a book series that I love, and it makes me think now if that would still be the case. Like, it is still a decent story, but it lacks a bit of oomph, and like the build-up is really not as impacting. It's not too dragging, and I understand why it could seem like to be dragging, because it's set in like a short span of time. However, it is just something about it that like it's not like the books that I really appreciate, and hopefully this does not come across as unfair if it might have. But I don't know, I just, maybe it is because my reading tastes have changed. Like, it is still a decent story. I'm still gonna be contemplating about it as I go along with the book, what would be my overall rating. But so far I'm seeing the flaws of like why I'm not exactly like enjoying it as much, compared probably to even the other books in the series, even during the first time I read it. So yeah, and who knows, maybe in my reread I'll be able to find more gems. So I'll catch folks later. Whoa. Okay, so let me correct myself a bit in the previous clip. I realized that I'm already in the fourth chapter. There's just something about this combobulating about the writing. But yeah, already in the fourth chapter, which is technically like the fourth day already. But even so, even in the span of 4 days, it's like there's nothing really that substantial. And I don't really mind the whole that she misses Daniel and all that stuff. It wasn't something that really like would annoy me. But I just felt like there could have been something more. I mean, she was being introduced to these other things about like the angels and all that, and kind of like adjusting to shoreline and all. But yeah, it's really tricky to make it, to make an impacting narrative that is set like within a few span of days. So I just want to correct about like, I think I mentioned like this 7 a day, and I was confused in a couple of days, and I realized yes, it's been like set for like, if not 4 days or so. So yeah, the countdown is ticking, the time is ticking, and we'll see how it goes, and I'll see if, there will be some sort of progress or build up. Okay, so catch folks later. Well, here's a rereading update of Torment by Lauren Kate. Now, I'm about 200 pages done, and so far we can see like the foundation of how the succeeding books are going to happen. As I recall, Passion has a lot of time traveling aspects, and this is where it starts, where Luz is trying to investigate like who her parents were, like how she was in her past lives, for her to have like an understanding of, her relationship with Daniel, and get to know more about her life in Shoreline. And yeah, also, I just want to insert that ever since I did use recruitment, like the cities or the states that are being mentioned here in this book, I'm able to visualize now that I have a bit of an awareness. Also, because that job that I had motivated me to like explore US geography for some reason, and now I can like sort of visualize how things are going on. And so far, the only thing that like struck me, or that that like that I remember well, is how Luz is trying to, have more autonomy, and how, she's not going to let Daniel or Cam decide for her, because they really want her like to stay, in Shoreline, until things are going on or happening or ongoing, and all that war is happening. And yeah, we got to see about the outcasts here. So we'll see how this goes. So far, it's been fine with me. So yeah, I'll catch folks later. Whoa. Here is a reading update, or a rereading update, of Torment by Lauren Kate. Now we can see here that Luz is getting to know more about her past, through the announcers, and she gets to know more about the outcasts as well, and also the Truth timeline, which shocked Daniel. I'd have to say that even if for some reason like the narratives were clear but not as impacting, it is still relatively enjoyable. I am still kind of liking it. So far, with the pages that I read, like recently from the last update, the depiction of Las Vegas, for some reason, like I enjoyed it. I felt like I was in Vegas and trying to explore what Vegas is. So that's really cool about it. And yeah, I'd have to say that the stakes kind of like, elevated. We get to find out, or get to hear about like how they try to break the cycle of like what's happening with Luz's lives. Like Daniel's really trying to protect her for their love to remain, and for the other things previously in Luz's previous lives don't happen again. So we'll see how it goes. I'm more than 300 pages done, and we'll see if in my next update I've already finished this one. So catch folks later. Whoa. So this next clip isn't the last update, and I've read more than 400 pages of Torment by Lauren Kate, or should I say I've reread more than 400 pages of Torment by Lauren Kate, and I realized that I don't really remember a lot from this book. And a lot of the things that I read are kind of like, or reread, I should say, keep on saying read, are actually kind of new to my mind for some reason, or I don't really recall, because unlike with the other books that I reread, somehow I would remember some of the things that I have read previously. But with this one, and to think this is a series that I consider as something that I love, 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 it's interesting. It does, give some connections to Christianity, obviously with angels and demons being kind of like the like sort of the fantastical creatures that were here. And there's a bit of cheating, so let me tell you about that right now. Hopefully it's not spoilery, but if you're cautious about that, there's a bit of cheating somewhere in the last pages that I read. But there's this still whole I love you kind of thing, so that's kind of like how I found it. And I don't really recall like this was set like in the Thanksgiving kind of period. So but I love the fact that it does illustrate about like family love. You can see Luz's characterization and how she cares for her like current family, like in her present life. So that's really cool. But yeah, it's just interesting for me that it's like a lot of the things that I'm reading here or rereading, I don't recall. So it's as if like I am rereading this or reading this as if it's the first time that I am like reading it. So yeah, what else do I recall from like yeah, so far she was allowed to have Thanksgiving with her family and basically because with the things that Luz discovered, she wants to spend more time with them. So yeah, hopefully I get to finish this today, and hopefully in the next clip it will be a conclusion of my overall thoughts. So I'll catch you folks later. Whoa! So I just finished rereading Torment by Lauren Kate, and I felt like, as I've mentioned to you, I felt like I was reading this for the first time. So definitely like the succeeding scenes that I read towards the end shocked me. Like, that whole thing about Shelby's ex-boyfriend surprised me as being one of the outcasts. And also I can think of this as if I was visualizing or watching a movie. It felt like movie vibes, so that's why I believe that is why I liked this during the first time that I read it. And it's kind of like one of those like novels where the ending is not really sweet and kind of like a bit sad in a way because Luz entered the announcer's portal, and because Luz wanted to know more about herself, which kind of like sets us with the next book because passion is something that I really enjoyed because of the time travel aspect, and it was done perfectly. So I'm definitely looking forward for that, and the latter parts really set us for that. And the epilogue, that's actually something that that's just so impacting. It was well done, even if at the beginning the buildup was kind of slow or it wasn't as impacting, it just suddenly grew and the stakes just got higher. So that is why I still enjoy this. And surprisingly, before I thought Fallen was better than this one, and this suffered like a second book syndrome, and now that I reread it, I thought that this is a bit better because of the stakes that are getting higher. It's not just about lovey-dovey. Of course there's still love, and the thing about angels and demons and heaven and all that, the outcasts wanting to be in heaven and all that, which is vividly depicted, those like Christian references or heaven, references about the heaven and angels and all that was vividly depicted. So yeah, I'd have to say that it elevated, like in terms of like how it is going to be more action packed. The ending scene, even if it wasn't like, how do you say this? It wasn't like very explosive, but there was something about it that was intense, even if I can just see it like in a kind of a bit of a smaller setting. It's not it's not big, but it's not bare, if that made any sense. Like usually with like fantasies that are kind of like there's an action ongoing, sometimes the world or the setting could be bare, but this one, it may be smaller, a little bit like within the home of Luz, but it still was amazing. And Miles' power really surprised me. Like that duplicate of Luz definitely was something that I didn't remember when reading this for the first time, and that made an impact. So I'm curious though, will I still love Passion when I reread it? I'm definitely a bit nervous about that because I know that is like what I always say the best in the series, and I wonder how I'll feel, but we'll see if I do a rereading vlog of it. I think I will. So yeah. But overall, this has been good. The rating for this book, I'm giving it 3.75 out of 5 stars. Let me know down in the comment section below if this rereading vlog motivated you to read or reread this book. Also, feel free to comment down below if you've read this book, and feel free to comment down below your thoughts. And if you've made it this far, leave a violin emoji. So I hope you folks liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. I also put down links and handles of my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there and support me there as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Always be thankful and unleash the reader in you. Bye, y'all.